This is Nemo's War 2nd edition. What is it about?
In this video, we're going to take you through what to expect from this game, and if you watch through till the end, hopefully you'll be in a good position to decide whether or not this game is for you. Coming up. Hi, it's Tarrant.
And Stella from Meeple University, bringing you a variety of quality board game videos. On the channel, we do a lot of playthrough, how to play, vlog, and overview, just like this one.
So if you're new here, please consider subscribing to our channel and clicking on the bell to get notifications when we have new material.
Let's get to the table.
Released in 2017 via Kickstarter, the 2nd edition of Nemo's War is a purpose-designed solitaire board game based on the novel 20,000 Leagues Under the Seas by Jules Verne. The 2nd edition, developed by Alan Emmerich, builds upon the 2009 1st edition designed by Chris Taylor. It was published by Victory Point Games. The game has medium complexity and an estimated playtime of 1 to 2 hours. In the game, the player plays as Captain Nemo piloting his submarine, the Nautilus, throughout the world. Over the course of approximately 25 rounds, the player will move around the board, sinking ships, inciting violence against local imperialists, collecting treasures, and earning a points salad for nearly every action taken in the game. But the player needs to play carefully to survive until the game's end. Damage from warships and other mishaps can sink the Nautilus or kill its crew. Failing to sink enough warships can leave the ocean overflowing with ships, and growing notoriety from sinking too many ships can turn the world against the Nautilus, and all of these are loss conditions for the player. If the player can survive until the end of the game and score 250 victory points, he or she will win. As in the novel, Nemo's character is brilliant and steeped in scientific and exploratory curiosity, but is also aggressive and staunchly anti-imperialistic. At the start of the game, the player chooses one of these motives for Nemo to play out, which influences the distribution of victory points. A warlike Nemo gains extra points for sinking warships, while an exploratory Nemo gains more points for seeing the wonders of the world, and therefore a player's strategy will be heavily influenced by this initial choice. Most of the game is controlled by the roll of a pair of dice. In each round, the roll of dice will dictate the placement of new ships onto the board, and the difference between those dice will indicate the number of action points that a player has available. Players then use those action points to move around the board, attacking ships, inciting uprisers, upgrading or repairing the Nautilus, or searching for treasure. Each of these actions requires a test, in which the player applies die roll modifiers, which can be positive or negative, and then rolls 2 dice to determine the result. Ship upgrades can give the player positive die roll modifiers, and the presence of enemy ships, especially warships, can give negative modifiers. But the most significant die roll modifier a player will have will be the exertion of ship resources. A player can gain up to positive 3 from an exerted resource, but is betting that resource against the outcome of the test. A failed test results in that player losing the exerted resource and possibly losing more depending on the roll of the dice. Some outcomes can be particularly devastating, and the player begins the game with some single-use character cards which can be used to help mitigate particularly bad outcomes after the fact. The game is also guided by events on cards which are drawn once per round and which can be sought out further by the adventuring action. Some events are positive and some are negative, while some can go either way depending on the result of a test, and all of them have flavor text which bring the game back to Verne's novel. As the game wears on, the threat to Nemo will increase. The number of ships placed in each round escalates from 2 to as many as 5 by the end of a war game, and stronger warships continue to be added to the bag of ships from which a player will be drawing new ships to play. By the end of the game, keeping the board clear without losing the game on high notoriety becomes an increasingly difficult tightrope to walk. If the player survives until the end of the game, which is triggered by the finale card shuffled into the bottom 5 cards of the event deck, Then the player totals up all victory points collected on sunken ships, past event cards, upgrades, treasure tokens, leftover characters, uprising cubes, and more, adjusting those points based on the modifiers on his or her chosen motive. If the player scores at least 250 points, he or she wins the game.
And that's what to expect from Nemo's War 2nd edition. We hope that you enjoyed the video and we hope that it helps you.
Now, if you'd like to learn the rules to the game in full, you can click on the link in the description to check out our How to Play video for this game, which includes some tips and strategies from 2nd edition developer Alan Emmerich.
If you like this video, please let us know by hitting the like button, write your questions and feedback in the comment sections below, and you can also join our Facebook group, Meeple University Community, to share your love of board games.
And finally, if you'd like to be among the first notified on what's new from Meeple University, please consider subscribing to our channel. You can click on the Meeple up in the corner to do so, and do hit the bell for notifications.
Until next time!